anything you need to ask, you can send an email to Dr. Matthews and he'll get that information out to the whole board. All righty. So next we are going to move on to our final information and discussion item, Novi High School pool diving board and stand replacement. Dr. Matthews.
Thank you, Dr. Ruskin. On May 13th, 2020, bids for the Novi High School pool diving board and stand replacement scheduled for the summer of 2020 were opened and publicly read aloud. The district received 2 bids for the replacement, which includes replacing the existing diving boards and the diving stand. The district received 1 qualified bid for this work from Barzini Contracting, LLC, in the amount of $46,189. It's recommended the Board of Education award the Novi High School pool diving board and stand replacement funded from the 2019 Bond Capital Projects Fund and Sinking Fund to Barzini Contracting, LLC, in the amount of $46,189. Attached is a letter of recommendation and bid tabulation from Barzini Contracting, LLC, and from Plant Moran Crescent. The Novi High School pool diving board and stand replacement bid is presented for information tonight with a recommendation for approval at the June 4th meeting.
Thank you, Dr. Matthews. Are there any questions? We have Mr. Gordon here with us tonight and other team members from the bond team to answer any questions. Mrs. Murphy?
Yeah, Ken, is it just say, I mean, it's a low number of bids and really only 1 qualified one. So I'm just curious about whether or not any of our team has worked with this particular contractor before. And
We'll turn to Kevin.
Obviously we're confident because it's been a recommendation, but just to satisfy my curiosity. Sorry, Dr. Matthews.
Sure, I can answer that. Barzini is probably one of the larger pool contractors in the state. They do most of the competition pools here. I've worked with them. I know the district hasn't worked with them directly. Plant Moran Crescent has worked with them in a lot of our other bond projects, and we've had great success with them.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, this is Dave Larson. I've worked with Barzini. We're doing an evaluation of the competitive pool at Eastern Michigan right now. As soon as they reopen, as soon as they can turn their attention back to that project. But, you know, they're a reputable company, and I know John Robertson over there is very reputable.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for the question, Mrs. Murphy. Any other questions? Mr. Mena, I see you raising your hand down there.
Yes, this question is from Mr. Gordon. I know the question of diving boards has come up for many years now. It's been a topic of discussion for quite some time. How old are those diving boards that we have there right now?
It's my understanding they're about somewhere between 14 and 18 years old. So I want to assume, I think they did, and Mike, I don't know if Mike is still on this call. Mike, when they did the pool renovations, was that 2003?
Yeah, those were replaced with the pool renovation. Again, those things are well past their lifespan. The gear that they roll out with their foot is, that whole mechanism is shot. You can't even get it square. There's tons of slop and play on it. And then to consider that thing sets in somewhat caustic environment with the chlorinated pool air circulating around it 24/7. So, but yeah, that's correct on the timing.
Right. So yeah, they're old. We're ready.
Thank you. Thanks for the question and the clarification. Any other questions or concerns? And certainly you can, if something comes up that you think of after this meeting, please feel free to send it to Dr. Matthews, Mr. Gordon, and we can get some further information for you before we vote at our next meeting. Okay. Seeing none, we will move out of information and discussion. We have another opportunity for comments from the audience. I don't have an audience here, but Dr. Matthews, has anything come through in regards to questions from the community?
There are no questions from the community on our Google Doc.
Thank you. Okay, Next, we have the committee reports. Mr. Mena, I know that we've had a nice presentation and we're going to go into a work session. Do you have anything else you would like to report out regarding capital projects committee?
No, we did meet on Tuesday night. We had a pretty long meeting, and in essence, most of the meeting was spent reviewing and commenting on the presentation that you saw tonight at the board meeting here.
Thank you, Mr. Mena. Any questions for Mr. Mena in regards to capital projects committee work that's being done? No? Okay. We will move on to the superintendent's report. Dr. Matthews.
Thank you, Dr. Ruskin. Just a couple of comments this evening. One is the state budget situation is still in flux. What we know is that there's about $1 billion deficit in the school aid budget for this current school year, 2019-20, and for next year, which is 2020-21. The dilemma that we now face is that most of the expenses that we've had in the 2019-2020 school year have already been expended. Teachers' last workday is June 12th. Many of them get paid through the summer, but that's for work that they have already completed. And many of the other expenses for our staff are in a similar situation. And so if there is a significant reduction for this year, it will be hard for us to identify where those savings would come from because, as I said, most of the money, our expenses have already been paid out for this school year. And the state has not indicated what their plan is, and so we do not know what they will propose. There is a rumor that they will propose a $700 per student reduction in the per pupil allocation, and that they will reset the per pupil allocation at $700 lower than what it currently is. And it will not be a one-time reduction, but it will be an ongoing reduction as opposed to just a negative supplemental. And so but as I said, we do not know, and we await word from the state budget office, the governor, and the legislature. The second significant issue that we are facing is when will schools reopen? And there is a school district in Oakland County that has come out with a preliminary plan for what they're planning to do. In our district, we are in the midst of developing plans, but we do not believe that it's prudent at this time to identify what we will do in September because so much can change between now and September. The community just needs to be aware of and sensitive to that we are developing plans and that we are focused on two things. One is keeping both students and staff safe and also providing a high quality educational experience for everyone. And so we believe that we will be able to do that this fall. And our hope is that we will get some clear direction from the state of Michigan as to what they will allow us to do. And that bleeds into the next point as what we will do this summer. And we are still hoping that we will have an in-person summer school and an in-person care program. It would probably be a socially distant kind of experience for our students. But again, at this point, we have received no firm direction from the state. And so we are awaiting that, but we will make a decision on that very shortly so that parents can make their plans. And that's my report this evening. And as you know, we have a work session after this meeting to discuss some bond projects.
Thank you, Dr. Matthews. We appreciate all the work that you're doing each and every day to ensure the safety of our students and staff. Next, we have our administrative reports. First, I will start with Dr. Kinzer.
Thank you, Dr. Ruskin. As we are going to spend some time in a few minutes with our bond team, I'd like to take just a moment to recognize them. Worked very closely, for 6 months now with Kevin Donnelly from Plant Moran Cressa, as well as Eric Geiser and his team from TMP, Agnes Arbuckle from McCarthy Smith, and a variety of other members of our bond team. And they've been responsive, they've been organized, prompt, and responsive, and I'm very confident that we have the right team in place to maximize our bond projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kinzer. Next, we have Dr. Weber, who's making me want to vomit because he's moving around.
Like
so
motion
much, but I do appreciate.
It's like motion sickness with me. Keep up. We're going to be okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Where'd you go?
He's coming. He'll be back.
Okay. I do appreciate him giving me this secondary computer since I was struggling with what I had to work with. So I shouldn't be so mean to him.
We should always be mean to Dr. Weber.
Oh, okay. And now he's sideways.
We cannot hear you,
And
Dr.
muted.
Weber. You are muted. Now you are
It'll be
unmuted.
worth the wait. I think it'll be worth the wait. How y'all doing? We hear me now?
Could you turn yourself this way?
Which way? Like this way?
Yes,
Is that better?
way better.
Way better? I don't know. Somebody has my computer, so I'm having to use my phone tonight. All right. So what I did is put some numbers up here for you. Let's just kind of go through these numbers. There's the pan, if you can see them. 46,409 breakfasts and lunch served by the Novi Community School District since the beginning of the pandemic. 46,409. And that's Eval and her team. We serve over 6,500 kids here. We've distributed 720 devices and 7 different device distributions over the past couple of months. We have 450 teachers and administrators on the daily working hard to connect with kids, provide engaging lessons, care for their well-being as well as we can. 43 content area leaders. These content area leaders are teachers who have agreed to lead K through 12, so leading their departments or their grade levels, and they have really been the engine of our work, and their work has been exceptional. I can't wait till we're all back together and love a board meeting to celebrate them. 55 languages spoken in our district, or 1,300 students who are English language learners. Can you imagine remote learning and also English being your second language? Thank goodness we have a dedicated team of teachers and staff who are attending that, led by Ms. Adva Ringel. 250 students in our district have 504 accommodations. Imagine if you have a son or daughter at home who has those accommodations and the anxiety that may provoke. Fortunately, Ms. Darby Hoppenstedt has done a wonderful job in leading that effort to make sure we can do the best we possibly can to accommodate their needs. 400 students with IEPs in our district. Ms. Shaylee Patel and Stacy Theophilus have done fantastic work in serving the IEP needs of our students in a time that, as we can imagine, is very difficult. 480 caps and gowns delivered Monday and Tuesday personally to the homes of our seniors. You want to talk about a level of service? So it is really, when you look at the whole piece, and I look at Melissa Matson and what she's done, and Sheila Holly for device distribution pieces. Jeff Dinkelman has done everything he possibly can to look towards the future and see what it is we're going to need to do to attend to it. There's hybrid learning, remote learning, or in-person learning. All these numbers, as impressive as they are, and as proud as I am of the people that I get to serve beside, the teachers, the administrators, and so on, leads me to another number. And I'm going to show you what this number is right now. All right, here we go. 70%. 70% is the decline in the tax efforts of corporations in Michigan in the last 17 years. So I'm sitting here and I'm watching the Novi Community School District be the anchor of our community, handing out food, handing out devices, making sure kids are getting educated and have that connection with their staff, making sure that we're doing everything we can to serve them. And Dr. Matthews just talked about a $700 cut. A $700 cut per pupil. And for the past 17 years, we have corporations in the state of Michigan who've had a 70% tax cut. It's ridiculous. I am watching my colleagues bust their butts to make sure that we can provide what kids deserve. And to think for a second that schools around the state would have to load our classrooms up to 35, 40 kids, this has to be a shared sacrifice through this time. I really believe that we could do it together. We're better together. And I certainly hope that the school board can help advocate for us, making sure that we can do as little harm as possible to our kids. We will be ready with plans for the fall, and we're taking the time to execute or to develop those plans and then execute them, as Dr. Matthews said. So thanks for that little bit of time. I greatly appreciate it for all of the teachers, administrators, parents who have become teachers, students out there, people that I get to serve beside. Much love and respect. I think I've seen the best in people that I get to work beside in the Novi Community School District, including our Board of Education. And I thank the Board of Education for being advocates and allies for each of our 6,500 kids, no matter where they may be from or what their background is. That's it for me. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Dr. Weber. We appreciate you, and we really appreciate all you've been doing, but we mostly appreciate what you've pointed out that your staff and everyone behind the scenes is doing, because we all get in kind of our little bubbles at times, and we don't always see what all the intricate work that's being done to support our students. So I appreciate that, and keep rocking it out. We will move on to board communication. Do we have any board communication that anyone would like to share tonight before we move on? No, everyone's so quiet. Oh, Mr. Smith, I should have known.
No, just a quick question, please. I heard from a parent before our meeting tonight that they had heard from Nicole Carter that if we do have commencement on August 2nd, that the only people that will be able to attend are parents. Can anybody speak to that, please?
I will address that. We are working with Eastern Michigan University, and we are getting mixed signals from them as to exactly what will be allowed. The state has not, as you know, at this time, approved gatherings of more than 10 people. And so we will communicate clearly who will be able to attend. But at this point, we're not definitely able to say one way or the other.
So not to put words in your mouth, but what I heard then from this parent is not accurate. It hasn't been decided yet. We, I believe, have gotten communication from Eastern Michigan that says they at this point intend to limit it, but we are holding out hope that the state will give us some ability to have larger gatherings as long as we are socially distant. But at this point, we're just not sure. So I might have some seats for sale in my suite if anybody's interested.
Just bring all the parents with you, Tom. Share the love.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? No? Okay. I would just like to say that I appreciate everybody who was on this call tonight for the board meeting. I know it was a little bit longer. We have some really important work being done. Besides everything that's going on with COVID, there's still much to be done within the district, including all this bond work that is really taking up hours and hours of many people's times, and it's doing great things for our community and for our students. So it was an important time, but yes, it took a little longer than our typical board meeting. So that being said, I am going to ask for a recommendation to adjourn, and then in about 5 minutes, we will come back on, if you can mute yourself and take a little break, and then we will come back on for our work session. So if I can get a recommendation or a motion. Mrs. Murphy?
Move to adjourn.
Support.
Recommended by Mrs. Murphy, supported by Mr. Smith. Mr. Mena, if we can get a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Cook,
Yes.
Trustee Hood,
Yes.
Trustee Mena, yes. Trustee Murphy.
Trustee Murphy.